All right, so the next thing that we're going to talk about before we get into section 4.9 is a system of inequalities. So a system of inequalities, just like a system of equations, is where we have two or more inequalities together that we need to find the solutions that satisfy both of our inequalities at the same time. All right, so when we do this, there's nothing different than what we were just doing for the linear inequalities. The only difference is at the end, we look and see where does our shaded region overlap. And where they overlap, that's where it satisfies both of our inequalities at the same time. All right, so then when we do this, we're going to break these off and just do each of these individually on their own. And then at the end, we come back in to give our final answer. So then we'll rewrite these two inequalities, y is greater than 2x minus 1 and y is less than negative x plus 3. We rewrite those off to the side and we worry about them individually. All right, so then first thing we need to do is we need to graph that boundary line. So we graph it like y is equal to 2x minus 1. So our minus 1 tells us our y-intercept is at negative 1. And then we go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. And I can plot the points in the other direction, down 2 to the left 1, down 2 to the left 1. And that gives me my points as if I were going to graph y is equal to 2x minus 1. But then remember the next step is we need to say, is it a solid or is it a dotted line? So solid or dotted. And we do that by looking at our inequality. Since this is just greater than, it is a dotted line. All right, so then we will graph these points by connecting them with a dotted line. Remember, dotted line means that we will not use these points as part of our solution set or part of our region because it is not equal to, it's got to be greater than or less than. All right, and then our third step is we are then going to pick which region. We need to shade our region. So step 3 is we shade. All right, remember, until you guys get the hang of it, I want you guys to do this by picking a point and testing a point. So we're going to pick the point 0, 0, since our boundary line does not fall on that point, and we plug it in. And we ask ourselves, does 0 or is 0 greater than 2 times 0 minus 1? So is 0 greater than negative 1? And that is true. So that's yes. So that means that that point is part of the solution set for that region. So then I'm going to highlight this region. Sorry about that. I'm going to highlight this region, and that region is part of every single point in here is part of the solution set for the region of y is greater than 2x minus 1. All right, so that is all part of our solution. So now the next thing that we do is we need to graph the second inequality. So then the second inequality we have, same thing, we need to graph our boundary line where y is equal to negative x plus 3. So we go up 3. So we go up 3, so 1, 2, 3. And then our slope is negative 1, so we go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And we can go in the other direction as well to finish this out. All right, and then we need to ask ourselves, is it solid or is it dotted? Since it's just less than, it is going to also be a dotted line. So we will go back to our graph and we will connect our points through a dotted line. All right, so there's our boundary region. And then same thing that we did last, we need to shade our region. And how do we know where to shade? We're going to pick a point. Since 0, 0 does not fall on our boundary line, we'll use that same point. And we're going to plug it into our equation, or into our inequality, I'm sorry. And then we ask ourselves, is 0 less than negative 0 plus 3? So is 0 less than 3? And that is true. That is yes. So that means the region that contains that point 0, 0 has to be part of the solution set for that inequality. So then we will shade this entire region down here. Right, so this entire region down here is the answer to that inequality. So the yellow region is the answer to the inequality for y is less than negative x plus 3. And then the blue region is the answer for the inequality of y is greater than 2x minus 1. All right, now when we talk about a system, we need the solutions that satisfy both at the same time. So if we pick a point from in here, that's only going to satisfy the yellow inequality. So it's only going to satisfy y is less than negative x plus 3, and it won't satisfy the other one. So we can't pick that point. If we pick a point in here, it's only going to satisfy the blue inequality and not the yellow. So then the solution that we have is where they overlap. So our solution is all of these points here where the two overlap. And since it's just y, or since both of those regions are dotted and not solid lines, then we won't include any of those as part of our answers or part of our solution set. So it's all of these points in here will be our answers. Right? And that is solving for a system of linear inequalities. It's the exact same thing as solving for just one inequality. The difference is now you need to look and see, well, where do they share the solution set? And if they don't share any region, then there's no solution. And if both of them are the same line, then it's possible you can have all or infinitely many. So for here, this will be our answer. All right. Highlight it in black as well. So that is our answer because it satisfies both inequalities at the same time. All right, that's it for this video. Then we're going to move on to actually doing problems within this section. All right, but both of those videos were just to go over some things that you should have learned in the past.